Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Reverend Scott Rogers, Executive Director of ABCCM, and it's such an honor to welcome all of you, not only in person here at the Rock Church, but also online. And we're just so glad and grateful that everyone is here with us tonight. Tonight is one of those wonderful occasions where it's not only been great to get together in person, but to see so many volunteers from each of the ministries just come out. I want us to thank again the Rock Church, their staff that's providing media, along with B-Clip and so many others. Will you help me by giving all of them a great big hand tonight? Tonight is possible because 300 churches, over 4,000 volunteers have stayed faithful, active, and serving through this ministry. We have a wonderful 25-member board, and tonight it's my very special privilege and honor to introduce the chairman of the board, Reverend Jason Garris, with Highland Christian Church. And I'd ask him to come forward at this time. And by the way, while he's coming, let me just remind all of you in the audience, if you haven't signed in at abccm.org on your phone, you need to pull that out right now. Go ahead and sign in. Don't let them beat you out tonight. And just remember, I've got it up here on my phone, okay? It only took about 2 minutes just before we walked up here, but get your phones out or your iPad if you brought it and sign in, because we want you to get the very special treasures that are here tonight. So at this time, it's my honor and pleasure again, if you'll give a warm welcome to Reverend Jason Garris.
Well, thank you, Scott. I can't ever state enough how much I love being a part of unified efforts. You know, obviously, when we see in the Scripture Jesus praying for us, we should probably take note of what he's saying. And when he prays and asks the Father that we would be one as they are one, so that the world will believe that he was sent by God, I take that pretty seriously, and I hope we all take that very seriously, because we do want the world to believe. And so I hope that that keeps us from building castles and really working towards the kingdom together, laying down our agendas and really going, how do we honor Jesus by fulfilling the Great Commission and living the Great Commandment, loving God, loving others, and making disciples along the way. And so events like this that remind us of the main things always bring me great joy, and you get to see who's connected to ABCCM. It makes the world so much bigger sometimes when you feel like it's really small. I know as a Christ follower in our city, it can be very tough, and you can feel isolated, and the enemy always wants to put you isolated and alone, but you're not. And the body of Christ, being as she is all over the place, and the good thing is God is always working, and he never stops. That's why I get to go to sleep at night, because he gets to keep working and keep doing the work of the ministry. And so let's pray, and I'd love to just invite his presence this evening as you're going to hear stories and see numbers and be able to celebrate what God is doing. And my prayer is through this evening that we will go and obey the thing the Lord may tell us to do here tonight. Not be a people who just go, that's a great thought, but how can I obey all that I've heard and learned through this evening so that I might make Christ known in my workplace, where my family is, and where I play. So let's pray. Father, we do not take lightly the opportunity to gather in your name, the name that saves, the name that transforms. Father, we thank you that you came close. We thank you for the mystery of the incarnation, God putting on flesh, dwelling among us. Lord, not only does that help us understand how we are saved, but it also helps us understand how we are to minister in this world. We do not minister by throwing truth bombs from across the room, but you've asked us to roll up our sleeves and get close. That is how the people of this world who do not know you will come to know you. It is by your people being close, walking with others, sitting with others, listening to others, getting to announce that light and life is found in the Word, Jesus. And I pray that in our time together tonight, that as we hear stories and we get to celebrate and clap and rejoice at what you're doing, we would recognize that you're never done. You're still at work. You have not stopped. You don't slumber, nor do you get bored of us. But you so loved the world that you gave your one and only Son, that whoever would believe in you would not perish but have eternal life. And we praise you for all eternity for that life. It's in your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor Jason. I want you to know that we are so wonderfully supported by churches and pastors and clergy that are here, and our board. Many of our board members are sitting over here. Would you all please stand up? And other clergy in the room, would you please stand up at this time and let us give them a big round of applause for being the servant leaders in our community. Thank you so much. You know, tonight, as Pastor Jason just led us, is about the needs of our neighbors. We find our neighbors who are looking for God, who are looking for someone who will care, who are looking to break through the isolation and the despair, the sense of helplessness, and find those people in the community who really care. We are so honored that the churches and the many volunteers, and you're going to get a chance to thank many of them tonight later on in the program, have made this possible. But when we said we needed somebody to help us with really taking this gala and the various items that come in to focus not just on the treasures that are in the silent auction, but also the treasures that happen through the miracle of restored and redeemed and transformed and reconciled lives. Ben Farrell, after having interviewed several folks, said, "I just want to help you do more for the people in need." It was so refreshing not to hear people say, "Oh, I'm going to help you sell this, I'm going to help you do this, I'm going to make you greater this way or that way." But Ben really got it. He understood not only out of his heart and his servant leadership, but our heart. But more than that, he's now been joining us for 3 years, and he brings that infectious laughter, he brings that charisma to us that not only captures the heart of ABCCM, but I think will inspire you. Tonight, it's my pure joy to welcome Ben Farrell back to ABCCM's Gala, annual gala and auction. Ben Farrell.
Thank you, Scott. That was an overwhelming introduction. And I wasn't planning on doing this, but I just want to share with you all. I'll just share with you how I come to do what I do. I have a son. He is now 21 years of age. He is diagnosed with autism. He's non-speaking. No words at all in his life. When he was 16, we made a miraculous discovery. But for the first 16 years, my wife and I did everything we could, everything in our power, seeing every expert we could, praying as much as we could. And then one day, One day we discovered that young people with autism who are non-speaking have all the language in their minds, all the language in their brain, and he understands everything that we've ever said all his entire life. He just has a motor function that can't get the words out, much like a stroke person has to relearn to talk or relearn to walk. So we discovered a woman that helped him communicate, and he started spelling on a letterboard, pointing one letter at a time, one letter at a time. And his first visit, at the end of his lesson, this practitioner said, "Is there anything you'd like to tell your parents?" And he spells, "The world has been making decisions for me my whole life. And now that I can spell, I can participate in my own decisions." And he says, "Mom, thank you for never giving up on me." And it is, thank you for that. That is, yes. And I only share that with you because it was very difficult not knowing. We had to go on pure faith, pure belief, right, which we maintained. And I know that people come to have the help from ABCCM. Maybe they're in a place where they are doubting themselves or doubting their belief in the world or their faith. But it is where they are restored. So we learn these very valuable lessons as parents, never giving up, and that's why I'm here to help you tonight to never give up. And by the way, we are not at home, all of us, some of you are on the computers, but for those of you who are here, how about a massive round of applause for being together, being in person, and celebrating ABCCM. Let's have a big round of applause. It's okay to get a little bit louder. It's okay to get a little bit louder. It is okay to get a little bit louder. I mean, this is a big-time celebration in auction. Now, a couple things about the auction. Everyone that joined us online, by the way, a major salute to you because you made it happen. A lot of communities around the world said when the pandemic started, we can't do this. It's too hard. It's too strange to have a gala online. But not ABCCM and not you. So for all of you who signed up, who logged in, who made your donations, please, one more big round of applause for all of those individuals. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. But now, Scott, this is a serious issue right now because raise your hand if you brought your smartphone with you. Does everyone have their smartphone? Does everyone have their smartphone or a tablet? Okay, I'm getting a sense there might be someone out here with a flip phone. Who has the flip phone tonight? Now look, you see, everyone laughs at the flip phone, but she's holding her hand up back there, and so she has, number one, 99% battery. Number two, she drops her phone and doesn't care. So we salute you, and the government's not listening in on you. So anyway, if you have your flip phone, don't worry. One of our volunteers, we will help you bid and win. So these items are great, Scott. So let's get started. Remember, have your phones out. It's not rude or inappropriate to be staring at your phone like you may think other times throughout life. But now it is accepted and encouraged to watch and bid, and I hope that you win. Are we ready? Oh, and take a look right here. By the way, if you have not logged in, raise your hand if you have not logged in. It's so easy. You can just text ABCCM to our favorite number, 76278. 76278. The link will come and you can log in. I am currently winning 5 items. I'm not going to tell you what they are. I do not want you to run the bids up on me. But remember this, bidding feels good. It feels real good to bid in the auction. But it feels better to what? Let's say that together. It feels good to bid, but it feels better to? I encourage you all to win tonight. We have plenty of items. So, Scott, let's go. I'm fired up. Right. Let's get started. Let's get going.
Let's get going. Folks, we've been so blessed with so many incredible donations tonight. And we did want to highlight a few of those tonight. They've been displayed out there. For example, one lady said, "I know just how to get even. The poor guy left me." And she said, "Instead of my throwing the diamond ring and wedding band back at him, I'm going to give it to ABCCM and turn it into help for people in need." Isn't that incredible? Yes. And so it's really amazing tonight that folks have done that. One lady has donated an autographed original oil from France, but it's about a veteran and his dog. precious stuff has been given here tonight. And Ben, it's so exciting to see these kind of treasures being shared so that we can share them with everybody else.
Well, they are amazing, and so there are a vacation. We have an amazing trip to Charleston, also an amazing beach trip to Oak Island. If you put off anything during the pandemic, don't put it off any longer. Go ahead and treat yourself or buy it and give it away. We sometimes joke, my wife and I bought our first house at an auction, and my goodness, they said the auctioneer just said, hey, another $1,000 over 30 years is nothing. My wife said, you're right, let's bid, let's win. You know, it does feel good. It feels good. So, by the way, all the items that are donated, this is very important that when our volunteers are out in the community, they're sharing the story of the ministries and the impact that the ministry is having. People give freely, and they give with the intention of helping us raise money. So if there was ever a time to go ahead and spend big, look, after all, can we just be frank? It's only money, and you can always make more money. We can always make more money. So go ahead and treat yourself, or treat someone else. Recognize that these have been gifts, and let's bid until we win, and I wish you all luck. The bidding, Scott, will continue until 9:30 tonight, 9:30. But
thank you. So we're going to give you every opportunity to win. But, you know, it's also a special time at this time when we want to say a special thank you to some very important community partners that have made this night possible. And that has been led off by Mark Merle and Advent Health. Mark has been with Advent for 10 years. He's worked primarily around strategic development. But one of the first things that happened as Mark's come on board is his strengthening that outreach to improve health care for all of us and partnering with ABCCM, not just through the medical ministry, but through Transformation Village and our crisis centers. Will you join me in welcoming Mr. Mark Merle tonight?
Good evening. There is something about being together, isn't there? When I walked in tonight, for some reason, I told Scott this a little earlier, it felt like a holiday dinner. Did anybody feel that with the red and white flowers, the dim lights? It felt like we were a family getting together for Christmas. So it felt good. Thank you. Again, my name is Mark Merle. I'm blessed to be on the executive team at Advent Health for the last 10 years. And on behalf of Advent Health, I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to sponsor tonight's ABCCM Gala. When I was about 4 years old, my grandmother went into one of the most prestigious healthcare systems in the United States for a routine back surgery. And she left the hospital in a wheelchair, never to walk again. And my grandmother is my safe space. When things didn't go well, when I was a little boy, all the way up until in my mid-30s, I would go home and she would pull me into her chest in her wheelchair, and she was my safe place. And part of the reason that I went into healthcare is because I wanted people who were vulnerable like my grandmother to have a place to feel safe and to feel whole and to be cared for, to make sure that they got quality experience in healthcare. And as I think about ABCCM, your ministry, your mission statement is to serve one another in the name of Christ. You meet people in their most vulnerable moments. People that sometimes may have an identity that the world has given them, but we get to serve them in a way that says your identity is in a son or a daughter of Christ. And so that's the similar ministry to Advent Health Hendersonville. Our mission statement is to extend the healing ministry of Christ. Many people come into our clinics, into our health system, and they're very vulnerable. And it's our privilege to make sure that they get to feel whole, mind, body, and spirit, just like the ministry of ABCCM. So it's a wonderful partnership. We're so glad to be able to sponsor tonight's event, and treat yourself.
Thank you, Mark, so much. Big hand. You know, ABCCM was started some 53 years ago in 1969. And it started at a time of national crisis, of division, searching for direction and purpose, but most importantly, was searching for the heart of community. Mark has shared that heart that we all have for community. And tonight, each of you that are here are a part of that community, as well as those of you with us online. And after this event, those who may see this online, because it's about building and nurturing stronger community. So many times in the last 3 years since 2020, I've heard people say something like this: somebody ought to do something about that. Somebody ought to make a difference with that. Somebody ought to change that. Well, guess what? ABCCM's mission from serving one another in the name of Christ can be summed up in that we create an opportunity for somebody to do that. And that's how we work together, not just individually, because it's not enough to do it alone, but to do it together. When the crisis showed up in 2020, I heard people say, where are the places that can serve food and get tons of food out immediately? And the churches and volunteers raised their hand and said, we've got crisis centers in all 4 corners of the county and reaching out with other churches across the region. When somebody said, what about all the people that had their work stopped and couldn't buy their medications and had no access to health care? And the doctors and nurses and pharmacists stood up and said, the free clinic is here and we are not going to stop. When the community faced an overwhelming number of homeless people coming in, while everybody else said there ought to be more beds and we ought to do more beds, it was ABCCM's board in churches who said, we're adding 100 new beds, and stepped up last winter when there was no other place for other homeless men to go. The sheriff came to us and said, I can't let all the volunteers in, but will ABCCM bring the chaplains and the pastors in? And we were there bringing light into the darkness. When the community said we need more treatment for those who are coming off of addictions, particularly men, folks like the Costello family stepped up. Folks, this is what ABCCM has been about. You're going to hear more about what it is, but the heart is the heart for community. So tonight, we want to issue you a couple of challenges. I was at a Bible study at 6:30 this morning. Yes, I took a nap this afternoon, so I'd be awake tonight. But I asked one guy, I said, what do you do? He said, I like to write checks. I said, you are my friend. He said, no, God has really put this spirit of generosity on me. And I said, how wonderful. I'm counting on him being online tonight, by the way. Ben, come on up here, because we want to get this auction challenge started off. So, Ben, it's really my honor to tell you tonight that we have received a challenge gift from the Costello Family Foundation of $50,000. I got to tell you just briefly, they came after we moved Steadfast House into Transformation Village and put it up for sale. I'm sorry, I just got to take a minute and say this. The Costello Family Foundation showed up and said, we want to buy your building for $1.2 million. I said, wonderful. I said, but why haven't you brought me a contract? He says, well, we got another idea. We want to do a clinical drug treatment program for homeless men. So we want to give the building back to you if you will help us do that. Now, have you ever heard of anything that crazy before? I want to buy your building, give it back, and start another $1 million program. That's what God is doing, and so that's why this gift is so special, and they wanted us to share with you and everybody online, Ben, a $50,000 challenge.
Well, let's give them a big round of applause for that. That's a tremendous gift. A tremendous gift. And Scott, I'm sure at a board meeting, part of the strategic plan was let's find someone who lives very far away from North Carolina to both purchase this property and give it back and then continue to support us throughout the year, right? This is why the work is so special. So in addition to what they've just done tonight, here, look at this. We are already at $77,000. Their $50,000 challenge is for us to join them. So if you're online or if you're here right now and you've not done so already, we want to watch this number climb. So the first 50 is going to be matched. We're going to march our way right now toward $100,000. So you can use your phone, use your tablet, and you can just, once you log in, you can find the donate button, and we're going to watch that number climb. And by the way, we don't look at 78,000 already. Now this is a time where picture yourself maybe watching the Carolina Panthers or your favorite college team. We're cheering each other on here because we're celebrating. And let's put that screen back up if we can, because we want to watch that number climb. And any gift, this is the magic of a collective investment, a community gathering, is that we give together. And regardless of the size, just know that with hundreds and hundreds of us gathered, both online and here tonight, that we can make the difference and we can hit that goal and we can reach that challenge. It is our one big time of the year. It is our number one fundraiser of the year. That's why everyone's participation is absolutely key. And so it's okay to cheer one another on. If we can, let's put back up. In fact, I'm going to grab my phone and just see where we're doing right here. But it's okay to make a little bit of noise when we see that number climb. People give out of a very strong intention of making a difference, and let's just join them. And I'm going to log in and see where we are. It's okay to get excited and dig yourself a nice... There we go. Take a look at the names who are giving right there. Give them a round of applause as they come up. Joe and Mary and Brian. Come on, give them it's okay to make some noise. Carrie and Anonymous and Stephanie. John, thank you. And of course, that gift from 50,000 is in there already. Mary, Matthew. And look, you can give more than once, Pete. Let's give them all. It's okay to get loud. I mean, it does actually help to give ourselves a little bit of energy right now as the number is climbing. Stephanie Cook, thank you very much. If Stephanie with us, by the way, when your name pops up, it's not really, it's not rude to stand up and take a quick selfie with your name right beside $78,000. I promise you, if you put that online, we will all like it and share it. Mary, you as well. Come on, give Mary a round of applause, yes?
Folks, tonight is about investing in people. And as we invest in people, we wanted you to hear a very special story. Ashley Addison has courageously stepped forward because the purchase of Costello House went to help reduce the debt at Transformation Village and bring us almost, there's only $400,000 after $13 million has been raised left. Here's the story of Ashley Addison.
I've struggled with addiction since I was in my early 20s. I was homeless last summer, and I had Ozra, my son, was 4 months old, and we had nowhere to live. And I ended up living in my car and a storage unit. So in between those, with a baby, it was blazing hot outside, and here I have this baby that I'm like, this cannot go on any longer. Every Tuesday I would call ABCCM, Transformation Village. And so I got a call back in beginning of December, and I came right after New Year's. Transformation Village is just amazing. There's just everything here. Everybody is so loving and helpful, and to get you resources that you need. So I'm in women's recovery, and I am on the list for Peer University because I want to do hair, but I also want to work with recovering addicts like myself. because I know that I can help a lot of people. I'm about to have Ozra placed back with me, or so. That's getting ready to come to a close. And that will be next, and having a family and just living a good life. I completely morphed from a different person, than I was going into this.
So many folks, Ben, don't understand that homelessness is about isolation and not being able to connect with folks. And so immersing them into community and family with others makes such a huge difference. And it's all about connecting and rebuilding those lives.
Well, and you can see the courage it takes for someone to share their story when they were at their lowest. But I think they all know and understand the power of sharing their story, because it does encourage those who are trying to decide whether or not they're ready to take that leap, where they're ready to take that next step. And so, by the way, take a look at the screens right here. 1,100 volunteers gave over 13,000 hours to help women and children. Let's give that a big round of applause. That is tremendous. 1,100 volunteers. 104 volunteer cook teams serve daily meals to women and children. Give them a round of applause. Our volunteers are everything. They are everything. When Scott said, someone should do something about it, well, here are 100 women who have transformed their lives. 100 women and all those in their families who reap these benefits, changing their lives. Give them a round of applause for 100 women. Come on, let's do this.
That's
exactly
exactly right. 9 out of 10 who have come to live at Transformation Village have gone through training, they've gotten certifications, they've moved out with career-level jobs. 3/4 of them, 3 out of 4, have connected with a church and a church family, so that when they move out into the community, they're not just moving into a home, but they're taking their faith family, their work family, and a new biological family with them. It's so exciting. Would all of the volunteers with Transformation Village, or you've provided food or a meal, would you stand up here tonight and let us say a great big thank you to you. And Ben, I've got an anonymous gift for Transformation Village of $12,000.
$12,000. Let's hear it. $12,000. Yes. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, if you have not yet made your donation, we're going to take a moment right now. We're going to pull it up on the screen and just think about those individuals who need our help at this time. And I wanted to say earlier, our biggest night of the year, look at where we are right now, 85,000. Thank you for those donations online, for the donations in the room, 85,000. The 12,000, that's right, it's okay to cheer. We are taking care of business here tonight. And remember, you'd think at $97,000. Let's get this to $100,000 right here and now. Do you believe that we can do that? Do you believe that we can see this number? If you're online, we're at $97,000 and it's climbing. I would love to see it hit 100. Think about this. If you ran a business that was open, Scott,
Yes.
One night a year. So this would be the night that we are open, and we need to do our very best. We need to raise as much as we can to provide as much help as we can. And you can see through the list, by the way, here we go. Let's recognize a few people. Joe and Jim, thank you. Kevin and Anonymous. And, we literally could not do this without Anonymous. We could not. We're so glad Anonymous is with us again.
That's
but
right.
give Matthew a round of applause. That's right. And Anonymous, each and every year, steps up in
That's
such an amazing way. But look, again, all the names of those coming in, we are really going to, let's see if we can get close to 100. Let's pull that back up because there we go,
Come on now.
97,986. What do you say, folks? Can we get to 100,000 right now, whether it's $100 at a time? And there was a long time, I used to make this joke, I would say, we were selling something by live auction, Scott, right? 1 would have been 2 would have been 3, 4, 4, down would have been 5. I would say another $100, okay? I said, that's only a tank of gas. Now, I was joking back then. But it really is about a 1 to. So look, here we are, 99,000, everybody. Let's get this to 100. Let's get it to 100. 100, let's go. It's okay to cheer because the people at home can hear you. They can feel you. They know that we are giving together. We are making a difference together, and we're doing it tonight. We're here to show the world what we believe in and the difference we can make. And so it's very exciting to be the person, by the way, that pushes us over that $100,000 mark, just to be the one that takes us right there to $100,000. Going once for $100,000, can we do it? It's just very exciting to see it change. So if you've been waiting till now to make that $500 that donation, this is the time to do it. If you're online and you're stepping away, come on back, and there we go. Thank you for that donation. I see it coming in, $99,546. Or we can just
stand here. If somebody doesn't do something.
Right. Okay.
Come on now. Somebody help me.
We get to 100,000, or Scott says we're locking the doors, turning off the AC. No. We're $100,000.
There it is. All right.
I love it. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I want to embarrass a couple of couples. So Charlie and Carolyn Ryder here, Bill and Diane Lucquire. Would you all stand up? These folks made the property. Come on, I'm going to embarrass you. It's too late. They made the property available to ABCCM at Transformation Village. Give them a big hand for me. We wouldn't be there and growing without you. That's what community is about, and that's why this is such a special evening. Folks, we find so many folks, not just those like Ashley who was in crisis, but families in crisis. What do you do when you're having to make the choices? It used to be the choice between what? Food and the rent, right? Now it's food, rent, gasoline, electricity, medical. I mean, families are being crushed on every side, but that's why the crisis ministries at ABCCM are here to help those families. I want you to hear from a courageous young mom, Amanda Payne.
My daughter unfortunately got addicted to meth along with her husband. He is now in jail for abusing Jasper, which is why I got Jasper primarily. The youngest one was born addicted to meth, a 2-year-old, and CPS showed up at the hospital. They said it's either we take them or you take them. And I'm like, well, I'm taking them. I love my boys. I've had Jasper since he was about 6 months old. I've had River since the day he was born. My middle grandson passed away at 11 weeks. He was laid in his bassinet incorrectly and suffocated. Or I would have him up here with me as well. I got behind on my rent, got an eviction notice, so I went to Evelyn, and then Evelyn stirred me towards ABCCM. So they actually relieved a lot of stress with helping that, because I wouldn't have known what to do or where to go with me and the boys with no place to live, especially knowing nobody up here.
So when she came to see me, we sat and talked for quite a while about her life. Immediately, I knew I needed to write a story about her. You could tell she was a go-getter right from the beginning. She just glows when she talks about her grands.
Their mother is still in Texas trying to get her life straight. Their father's in prison, and it's just me. Compared to what it could have been, at least I know they're getting the best that I can give them. They can do whatever they want to do. Put their mind to it, they can do it. Grow up to be amazing people, and just live their life to the best that they can. They're my heart, my soul. They're my meaning for everything.
Keeping families in their home, Ben, there's nothing like that because it costs so much more, 3, 4, 5 times more if they have to move. And so when you invest in that, it makes a huge difference. That's why Jim Brewer coined the phrase last year, stop the evictions. Just stop them. Jim Brewer is the head of altruism. Give Jim a big hand for his role in organizing all of this tonight. But I also want to highlight Pam Barbie. Pam, would you please stand up? I want everybody to know. Pam, where are you? There she is. Pam's over here. Pam, thank you for what you have done. This lady has called over 400 businesses and individuals, and they've almost all said yes because Pam doesn't accept no. And she's the reason we have 570 items up here that you're bidding on tonight. Give Pam a great big hand, would you please? Jim and Pam do this because they want families to be whole, Ben. And that's what is so important with what's happening across all the crisis ministries.
Well, and I think it's equally important to share that many families are doing all that they can within their means to survive and to provide for themselves. And oftentimes it can be circumstances beyond their control. You know, sometimes they say that sometimes if you're not acting on life, life will act on you. Well, they need just a little something to keep them going, just a little bit of help to help with support all the effort they're making for their families, for their children. And what often does not get said is the impact this has on the young boys and girls living in these families. I heard a story once of a man that said his parents had very difficult time, struggled with alcohol, with drug addiction, and domestic violence. And he said one time it was especially bad on Thanksgiving, and they were fighting and fighting and fighting, blaming each other for why there was no food for Thanksgiving. And there was a knock at the door. And they opened the door, and there was a gentleman with Thanksgiving meal, a donation. He said, "We understand your family might be having a hard time." He said his father slammed the door, and the volunteer put his foot out to stop it. He said, "Sir, do not let your pride get in the way and hurt your family." And, well, the father took this as he was not good enough. He stormed out. This man that told me the story said he never saw his father again after that. But he said what he realized in that exact moment, was the world must be a pretty good place. That a complete stranger would believe enough in our family to provide. That person goes on and now provides over 1 million meals at Thanksgiving. So that is the difference we're making in the young men and women here tonight. So let's give a look, by the way, right here, 810 families. Let's give this a big round of applause. It's important to celebrate. It is important to celebrate. If you're online right now, you can see the difference. You can see about 780 volunteers. And look at the number, 40,000 hours. 40,000 hours. Give our volunteers a round of applause. This is door to door, family to family.
Would all the volunteers stand up, and staff, please? Stand up, all the volunteers. Let's thank you properly. And if you've donated food, you've helped feed 4,000 families a month. Downtown at the Crisis Ministry, at ABCCM South, ABCCM Hominy Valley, North Samaritan Ministry, and our sister ministry, Swannanoa Valley. Give them all a big hand, please.
Here we go. Thank you. This is what the volunteers have done. 269,000 pounds of food, Scott. It is just incredible. And over 4,000 households. We'll just let you know the level of need that we have here in the community. So we are going to look at this, $101,000. I want to thank everyone who's making there. You see, we have a pretty big goal right there, but the need is real, which is why everyone, including Brian, thank you for your donation, who have joined in and made a contribution. If you're at home right now, you can find on your mobile device, or you can do this on your tablet. You can hit the donate button and pick any amount. Even if you've given once, you most certainly can give again. There is no limit to this impact we're going to have tonight, and we're going to march forward and raise as much as we can. Do you think, by the way, those of you who are here in the room, do you think we can go a little bit further? I mean, do you believe that we can go a little bit further? I mean, I most certainly do. So here we are at $101,000, by the way, which is a tremendous amount of money. And we want to thank everyone who's contributed so far. And one gift at a time gets the job done. And I may have told you this online, but this one sticks with me. A gentleman who, we were in a board meeting, and he slammed his phone down on the table. And then he used some pretty unprofessional language. I think he forgot exactly what was happening. And we said, hey, how can we help? What's going on? He said, well, the fact is, every 30 days, automatically, without fail, for the last, 20 years, I've been spending around $100 on cable TV that I tell my children not to watch. And so he said, if I had only steered that $100 or so every month, every 30 days to something that could make a difference, what an impact I could have. So if you're thinking about making a large donation or a small, just think about knowing that you're doing it together, you're doing it with one another, and our goal is to raise as much as we can, our one big night of the year. So let's see if we can get this number to climb just a little bit higher.
Please help it go up right now. You can stop evictions. You can feed hundreds of families. Just imagine if we had to build a shelter for 810 families instead of keeping them in their home. It's the difference that you make in building stronger families and stronger community. Now, I noticed that my wife, Ben, has just blocked me out. So, honey, put in another bid for us now, because we want to support these families in the crisis ministry.
Yeah, and if you're with someone tonight that has either secretly hidden your phone because you're bidding on too many things, use the force, get that phone back into your hand and continue bidding or making your donations. Remember, every way that you contribute tonight does make a difference. Every bid on the auction item. Someone always said, the one thing I don't like about these phones is I can't tell who's bidding against me. And I have to correct them, because we are not bidding against each other tonight at all. We are bidding with each other. If you think of it that way, every bid is a step in the right direction. Look at all of the names, by the way, all of our supporters who are making donations. Every bit that you do really does matter, and I know that we're going to hit our goal tonight. So thank you so very much. Another round of applause here. Look, Jim, Anonymous, Patty, Joe, Kevin. It's going a little fast for me there, but we want to thank them all for making their contributions.
Thank you all so very much for that, because by intervening in these lives, you really are changing them. One of the things that families choose between, as I said, was not just food and rent, but also, can they afford health care? Can they afford going to the doctor or paying for their medication? We were all thrilled to see that drug prices for those over 65 are coming down, because insulin and things like that are so expensive. And that's where ABCCM's physicians, the medical society, the hospital, the health department, Mercy Urgent Care Centers, Sisters of Mercy Foundation, the Leon Levine Foundation, others have come alongside and partnered with the medical ministry to make access possible. In April and May of 2020, we went from seeing 300 patients a month to 900. That was how critical it was. And now if you wonder how much has that come down, we're still averaging today between 700 and 750 a month. And so to help you understand how important this ministry is, I want you to hear the testimony of Michael Wynn and what the medical ministry did for this veteran who didn't have veterans benefits and access for a good while, and what a difference the medical ministry made.
I came to Asheville as a result of being a veteran, but I was in transitional from a long period of just drinking. I had lost my house 2010, and I just began just drinking. Where I stay at is a nurse on staff. I began stopping by there probably about maybe once a week, and my blood pressure was sort of elevated. And she became concerned with it and suggested that I go to ABCCM Medical Center. And because of my time in the service, so they hooked me up with insurance so I could get my lab work and see a urologist and find out I had prostate cancer. Bombshell. It's emotional now, but it's not devastating. Once again, still a soldier, still moving. The medical center, it's just a special place. They were willing to unselfishly give up themselves, and I found out that was the definition of love.
You know, taking care of people like Michael is such a joy and an honor because he's at work and supporting his family and really making an incredible contribution in this community through his business. And so it's so exciting to see that happen, Ben.
Well, and also, how about the pharmaceuticals that are needed for someone, even as he mentioned, blood pressure, which can be easily controlled by medication, but without it, you are running the risk, of course, severe impact. So from the simple to the complicated, I know certainly we had a family member diagnosed with cancer. Their medicine was $13,000 every single month, right? And so these are people that need the help. And ABCCM is providing that help. And as you see, Michael, and like so many, Scott, so many who receive the help pay it forward. They share the story, they share the ministry, they share the success, and all that does is to help us grow the ministry and provide more help that is needed. This is, I would say, one of the top. I mean, medical is making such an impact. The cost, by the way, we should recognize here, by the way, again, the volunteers. It cannot be overstated. 263 volunteers giving 6,700 hours. That is direct care to patients. Give those volunteers a round of applause. Love them. Love it.
We see so many patients, as you can see on the screen there, that need that kind of help. And Ben, as you talk about folks who are on Medicare that hit the donut hole, we even have a medication assistance plan that enrolls them for free medicine at no cost to get through that. And we dispense that medicine through those pharmaceutical companies. In fact, last year, you can see on the screen, almost $3 million in free meds were given.
A huge round of applause for nearly $3 million in value. And by the way, how meaningful is it to connect someone to the resources that exist and they just don't know where they are? Certainly, there are so many who just don't know where to find access, where to find the connection, and by coming to this ministry, they can get that job done. So I think we should try to raise a little money for this ministry. I think we should try to just do our very best here. And now is the time to do it. For those of you online, by the way, look at where we are. Another $10,000 had just coming in, so we're at $111,000, which is a pretty significant amount of money. It is okay to cheer for this, if you would. Say, if you're like this, huh? If you're like $111,000, that's tremendous. In fact, we are transforming lives, and this is how we do it.
This is it. I've got a little note and a text. You might have seen me up there. And yes, I was trying to register a new card, dear, but it didn't work yet. Clyde Cable has contributed $10,000 to support the medical ministry and the clinic volunteers. And I just want to ask all the doctors, nurses, pharmacists, all those who've been working at the medical ministry, or if you've contributed, please stand up and let us thank you for what you're making possible.
Well, it's so meaningful to have such skilled professionals donating their time and donating their talents. And these are gifts that are provided that are remembered. In fact, Scott, I believe, was telling me that there was a person that was helped by ABCCM 30 years ago, and she called to say, I want to participate. I know the gala and fundraiser is coming up. 30 years ago, she received help, and she called, and she is the one that volunteered and created all of the centerpieces you see on your table here tonight. So let's give her an amazing round of applause for the donation. And by the way, Scott, because she knows how important it is for us to raise money, when everyone leaves tonight, you'd be wondering, well, what are we going to do with these flowers? Well, they're not going to be here. That's because some of you are going to buy those because they are, of course, part of the auction, and they're $25. You can take them, the flowers, the vase, everything with you, and you don't want to be waiting around to the next anniversary or Mother's Day for flowers. Come on, guys, you can do better than that. So how about tomorrow morning you wake up and you have flowers right there at your breakfast table? That's my personal recommendation. So be the first to grab those, and you can buy those. And by the way, can we go back to that dollar sign? Because I think we're over 100 now with that gift, over 121,000. You think we could get to 125? Think a little bit higher, right?
We need to get there. I think it's time. Can y'all help us? Come on. There it goes. Thank you. It's climbing. Thank you.
Absolutely. So this could be fun right now. We just a little quick yes or no. It's good to participate. So just say yes if you think we can get to 125,000 right now on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. A little bit louder. 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
Oh, my goodness, yes. Well, that's a strong belief, Scott, so let's do it right now at 122,000, and now just 3,000 to go. Really, that's what, 3,000, right? 30. A friend of mine said, Ben, I'm thinking about 1,000. I don't know if I can do $1,000, but I'm going to strongly consider 1,000. So that's okay. If that works, it works for him. If that works for you, look at someone's doing the math on their phone or maybe in their head. We'd be impressed. 122,222. Give them a round of applause. Let's keep going here. 125. Scott, we can do it. I know that we can do it because we're marching our way toward the goal here. Every donation. We can't say it enough. Every donation matters. If you've given once, if you want to give again, any amount gets the job done. We know that you're watching and giving online. We thank you because we just do so much and have so much to celebrate here tonight. Going once for 125, Scott.
Let me just share that back at the dessert table, those desserts were made possible through many, many different vendors in our community. And tonight's meal was put together by Celine and Company, but orchestrated by Wendy Lee. Wendy, would you please stand up so we can thank you and the friends from Celine and Company? Please let us thank all of them. Kim back there who made tonight possible. Thank you, Kim and Celine. Luck at the Flower Gallery did that lovely display out there. And as Ben said, helped the folks with Wendy and others getting flowers from also all across the town, from places like at the Fresh Market and several of the major chains and grocery stores. And so we're just so thankful. But Wendy and her faithful husband, Jay, who is also COO of ABCCM, went and helped her and many of the staff fetch all of these beautiful table ornaments that we want to make available to dress this place up. But thank you for helping us push on with the medical ministry and investing in access to health care for so many workers who may wait our tables or cut our grass or provide services in this community who can't do it without health care. Tonight we have the jail ministry who goes into dark places. And the jail ministry really does help bring light into darkness, hope in the midst of despair, and makes a huge difference in hundreds of lives every year. Most of us don't realize, Ben, that there's over 500 folks on average, or about 500, that are incarcerated on any given day or month. And so But you also need to know that population turns over at least half every month or more. And so it really does give us a chance to meet people in the midst of their crisis. Ashley Lung is one of those ladies that many in this community had given up on. And in fact, Ashley reached the point where she was ready to give up. One of our faithful volunteers, Julie Singleton, past chairman of the board, who had reached out and touched her life, Ashley said, Scott, I want to share the difference it made. Hear Ashley's story now.
My addiction took me as far down as you could possibly think to go. And I was homeless on these streets. I was addicted on these streets. I tried multiple times to get clean, to get in treatment. I went to treatment, I would come out, I would relapse. I went to prison, I came out, I would relapse. It was just an endless cycle for me. And February 21st of 2019, whenever I went to jail, I don't know, something changed in me. I hit my knees and I just begged God, if you could get me out of this, I will never return and I will do something different. ABCCM actually brought a Bible study into the Buncombe County Jail, and that's when I first met Julie Singleton, and that was 12 years ago, and that's when my journey started with him. Jail ministry came into Buncombe County Jail in the side that I was on, and it was I don't know, I felt like from day one it was a life-changing experience. I was able to save my money there. I was able to just focus on my recovery and myself. They always gave me nothing but hope and acceptance for who I was and what I've done, and I just still look back on that 12 years ago, and I can never forget the first day that they came in, and I've continued to engage ever since.
Julie Singleton, please stand up. I want to also ask Jim Shear, who's our jail representative. Please stand up, Jim, and our chaplains, Vanessa James and Don Johnson. Thank you. You know, being there at the worst and most deepest, darkest crisis has been what a difference it makes, because Ashley has gone from doing that to also becoming trained as a certified peer support leader, so she can reach back to hurting men and women and help them with the recovery that they needed.
Well, that is one of the strongest voices when people are in a dark place, is someone who has been there and walked in their shoes. I met a gentleman who had lived homeless on the streets for 17 years. And he said, people offered help, but I didn't believe, number one, that I was worthy of it. Number two, I didn't believe that I could succeed. He said, I didn't want to try and fail again. I could not fail one more time. He said, I'm more comfortable living in these streets, seeing other people dying, losing their battles to addiction. He said, but it was so scary for me, I couldn't do it. He said, and then one day I heard the message over and over, which is why I think meeting people in their darkest place is where we need to be. That is sometimes when they're in a quiet place or they're open enough to finally hear the message. And we know this to be true. Many people sometimes need someone to believe in them first before they can believe in themselves. And this is what we're doing for these men and women who are incarcerated, giving them the hope, the encouragement, the positivity, and the belief that it is possible for them to turn their lives around. And we have so many examples of success stories. And this is just one way we're doing it. Over 324 Bibles, that first step, just opening the book, exposing them, introducing them to what is possible. And by the way, 1,700 chaplain visits. And think about what that was like, how difficult it was for anything in these last couple of years. But ABCCM never stopped. So for every chaplain visit, every volunteer, every Bible donated and provided, let's give them a big round of applause, everyone. This really does matter.
That's right. If you've helped out in any way, please do so. You can see we're climbing up now, Ben. We're climbing up to that amount. Y'all might have seen my phone go off just a minute ago. That is the Bridge Church. The Bridge Church is a new church startup and plant in this community. And the pastor wanted us to know that he wants to be a part of bringing and being a part of all the churches coming together. You won't believe the gift he just offered. And he said, we've already sent the check. You might have it, but $5,000.
Let's hear it, $5,000. I love it. I love it. I love it. And look, if there was ever an appropriate time to give $1, I mean, do it now. Do it now. Do it right now. I can't even sleep at night with these odd numbers up there. You know, can you imagine if there we go, 130,000. That's how you do it. 130, and with, you said a gift of, you said $5,000. I mean, that's just absolutely incredible. That's going to put us up to $135,000. So Karen, thank you very much. Julie, Jim, of course, here, Anonymous, and Patty. Let's take a moment to give everyone, and now, Shikana, now if I mispronounce your name, keep making donations, and I'll keep trying to say it properly, okay? I'm kidding there. Alfred, thank you, Anonymous. Carrie, Clyde, Charlie, Bill, Bridge, Stephanie. Give them a round of applause, everyone. Adam, and Scott, and John, Richard. This is together. The Costello Foundation, multiple gifts there. Thank you, Karen and John and Luis and Rebecca and Mary. Look, this is over $130,000 we have raised just here tonight. Look at all of the gifts. It is truly incredible. This is the collective gift, Scott. This is how we're getting the job done. Let's do it. I mean, let's keep going.
That's exactly right. Now, I got to tell you, I know some of these folks. That name was Shekinah Glory. Can you imagine naming your child Shekinah Glory Schwartz? And she's a pastor here. Thank you, Shekinah, for being online. And Rebecca Gorella volunteered as a little girl all the way up. She's in Canada tonight. They're coming from all around the world and the country. Come on and let's join these folks, thanking our online audience for what you're making possible, pushing us up to the top.
And hey, I'm just going to look right at the camera, Shekinah. Thank you, and I apologize. And now that I know to say it properly, I'm going to do it from here on out. Let's see where we are, because I know that we are climbing right now. $130,000 here. Look, we are past. There we go, and the number is still going up. Scott, we are not done. We are still marching forward. This is an incredible amount of money. Thank you, everyone online and here tonight who've already made a contribution.
I tell you, this is what ABCCM does, going into the darkest places. And it's so exciting to tell you right now that we don't just go into the dark places like the jails and the prisons, but we are going out into the camps where veterans have said, I'm living off the grid. Folks who have been chronically homeless, not for 2 or 3 or 4 years, but 10 years. 15 years, and Veteran Services of the Carolinas has what they call the HOPE program and the PATH program that reaches out to the hardest of all to serve, won't even come into a homeless facility or even connect with the VA, and they reach out and bring them in. It's just incredible what they're doing. And so I want you not to just hear it from me, but I want you to know that once they do that, we have the largest private employment and training services across half the counties in this state of anybody in North Carolina. That's what the churches and you have built and put together, reaching out, helping people achieve their greater potential. And there's no one better to tell that story than Jessie Massey. Hear her story now.
I was in a very abusive relationship, and I was kind of trapped and trying to get out and didn't know of any way to get out in a good way. I originally Googled shelters for disabled female veterans with children kind of thing. So I found ABCCM and then called, and they were like, oh, we can help you. And I was like, wow, really? And so Tara came and rescued me.
So when I first met her at the hotel, she was really heavy. You could see that she didn't have a lot of hope that anything would change, that she didn't really trust in our program.
I'm a very prideful person. I hate to ask for help, but I knew as a mom, to protect my children, I had to do what I had to do, and they never made me feel like in any way below them or judged or anything. So it was actually pretty awesome. It's a pretty awesome experience.
It took meeting her on a regular basis to open that up and, you know, getting her to share what she envisioned for herself. So now, you know, she's full of hope and she's running.
It's been a year now, and how far I've came is insane. I have housing, and I have the job I've wanted since the day I got out of the military, working at the VA with veterans. My baby's in a healthy, happy environment. So I'm pretty sure I've came farther in 1 year than I have in the last 10. ABCCM are great people. That's Tara, my social worker that saved me. Like, we will be friends forever, for sure.
Jesse, when the Secretary of Labor said, "Tell us somebody who's gotten a job of their dreams, I want to meet them." And the Secretary of Labor last November met Jessie Massey, and during Thanksgiving shared her story with all of America. Incredible how the testimony and actions of these men and women through veteran services and volunteers are making a difference whose stories are being told nationwide, Ben.
Well, let's give them a big round. Look, I want to say this. I do understand I asked for lots of applause, but that's because I believe it is important. I think it is important to recognize programs that are working. It is important to recognize the effort that goes into creating and maintaining the programs. And it's also important to recognize those people who are willing to say, I need the help. How many men and women who have proudly served our country and done the most difficult and dangerous things under the most difficult and dangerous circumstances find themselves in a place where they need help, helping to survive day to day. So let's give these men, these women, all of our veterans and volunteers a big round of applause. It matters, everybody. It really does matter.
Please stand up, everybody with Veteran Services of the Carolinas. Please stand up.
Let's get our volunteers up. Can I get another loud whistle? Who was whistling over there? Let's get a loud whistle again. Thank you.
Homeless prevention. Thank you all for what you are doing. And Ben, you saw me on the phone again. It happened again. We got another anonymous gift. It's making my knees buckle. They want us to get up to that goal of $200,000, $50,000 anonymous gift. Will you give them a big hand, please?
Oh, we got to get louder for $50,000. Let's hear it, everybody. $50,000 challenge. Well, that puts us at $185,000. So that means we are incredibly close to reaching $200,000. I certainly know that we can do it. I believe that we can do it. If you're online, you're committed to making a difference. You're committed to participating, supporting programs that work. And they have proven themselves successful year over year, life after over life. And this is why it is time to contribute. And by the way, I know, Scott, you were speaking to the audience, but maybe you all saw this. But don't tell Scott. I did see Shirley's name pop up on the screen. So, Shirley, let's keep going. Scott, let's keep giving. Let's keep giving. Let's keep giving. And by the way, let's make it climb. Yes or no, can we get to 200,000?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely yes. If you're online, make that contribution. And again, thanks you all of you who are making your gifts here tonight, anonymously, publicly. Let's keep going because tonight is the big night. And just find a reason, find an amount that's meaningful for you. And know that when you make that investment, it is a true investment in the lives of others right here in our community. I tell you, it's amazing to see the difference that is made. So 185,000. We definitely have to change the last three numbers there. Give quickly, give quickly, give quickly.
Come on.
Quickly, give quickly, quickly, make it quickly, make it quickly. All right, look away, look away, look away, look away. Thank you very much, everybody. By the way, I was at we were having a live auction, and the people were bidding, and I don't know who assigned the bid numbers. It certainly wasn't anyone who is with us here tonight or online. And anyway, the bids were going up, the paddles were going up. One would have bid two, two, two. Here would have been three, three, three. And then finally, the gentleman, he raises his paddle up, and I say, "Yes, sold to you, sir." And he holds it up, and yeah, that's what we saw. The 3 6s. I said, "Sold to you, sir. 999. Please turn that over, sir, so we can celebrate your victory. Please turn that over." But look at what we've done here, 185,000. So if you're online, look, we're going to do it. I know we've just shared a lot of Greek stories with you tonight. And it's important to share, and you think, can you believe the work that ABCCM is doing and so many ministries? The reason is, going back to what Scott said originally tonight, someone ought to do something about that.
Yes.
Well, ABCCM has met every single challenge. When the need arises, they've said yes. And now, look, someone's just made a major contribution. We're at 190. That means we are $10,000 to go, folks. 10,000 to go. You know what feels good is when you hit a goal.
That's right. And I tell you, I just got a text. My mother said she volunteered in the jail ministry for over 30 years, 34 years, and she wanted to give $1,500 because she saw so many folks helping in the jail, but also so many veterans who had been incarcerated. And she said, "I want to do both tonight." So thank you, Mom, for that $1,500.
1,500. Well, that means we are climbing. We are climbing. Maybe one more time. Let's check in on our screen to see where we are. But you know, it is when you are moved. There we go. 192. 192. It's just great to see get us so close to 200,000. I mean, we're going to come back to this, and it may read 200. If not, we're going to continue to march on because this is what we're here to do tonight. We're here to raise the money to make the difference.
That's exactly right. And let me tell you how effective Veteran Services of the Carolinas and the volunteers, again, so many of those volunteers are across the state, and some of you are online and at home. Thank you for what you've done because of their track record of resolving crisis. Now get this, the Veterans Call Center and Crisis Line, and it's also called a Coordination Center, resolves the crisis from start to finish on average in 4.6 days. I mean, you got to know and understand other places the average resolution on a good for most groups is 14 to 21 days. They are there getting in front. And so the Secretary of Health and Human Services called Brandon Wilson, our Director of VSC. He's back there. Raise your hand, Brandon. Good. Stand up, Brandon. No, I'm sorry. I got to pick on him some. But he's a tough Marine. They called and said, "We want you not to do crisis calls across half the state, but all the state." And then the VA called up and said, "We're launching our suicide prevention. We're going to give you a grant to handle all the suicide prevention calls for every veteran in North Carolina." Now's the time to invest in them so that they can make that kind of a difference and end and bring down the suicide rate in North Carolina for our veterans. Give them a hand, please.
Yeah. And this is not a small undertaking. You can see over 8,600 veterans, over 19,000 requests for help, requests for service. That is a staggering number. The need is real, the need is urgent, and so your gifts can make the difference here. So let's consider doing that right now. Over 300 families finding sustainable housing. That's just absolutely getting the job done, helping them when they need it. Let's do it right now. I know we're getting close to 200,000. Scott, this is very exciting.
Thank you all for what you're doing right now, investing in veteran lives. And you know, an important part of investing in those veteran lives is investing in the homeless. Because the more that we take homeless and provide them with a job and the steps that help them have a career, we don't just graduate them from homelessness into poverty, we graduate them from homelessness into middle-class jobs and even home ownership. It's just incredible. And that's what's been made possible also, and why the city and the local management entity called Via Health came to us and said, we're so glad to hear the Costello Family Foundation wants to do recovery living for men and women, but especially men because there's such a shortfall. At Transformation Village, Carolyn Cronin and her team are doing a clinical program over there for women and moms with children. But you know what some of the expert psychiatrists said to me was, we can teach them for 4 or 5 hours a day how to help manage and stay sober, but you teach them how to live soberly and live into recovery living. So hallelujah. I want you to hear the testimony of Johnny Miller and what it meant to him.
My name's Johnny Miller Jr., and I've been dibbling in addiction for about 40 years. My sponsor, he pretty much says, well, Johnny, you got to start over. They kind of recommended this place here, Costello House. So I started going to all the classes. I don't miss nothing in here. I was going to the dentist. This guy run into me, man, and I'm like, hey, man, how you doing? This guy walks up on me with a Mentos can, and he opened it up, and it was full of crack. And the urge to use got all over me. All I could think to do was, I said, Jesus, please help me. And that craving and everything was gone, like that.
I'm doing things that hopefully free up the staff to do what God's really called them to do here, the ministry part with the residents. And so hopefully I'm doing some things that they don't have to spend time doing, logistical, practical, cleaning, organizing type of things.
I came into the picture when they contacted me and said they wanted to turn this into a sober living transitional house. Supportive housing is what do we need to do to support your permanent housing, meaning if you have some substance use disorders, how do we address that? If you have some mental health disorders, how do we address that? And part of addressing that is part of the support we provide through the wraparound services that the community provides in terms of mental health evaluations, medications, therapeutic sessions, AANA, Celebrate Recovery, things like that. Sometimes they don't want to change when we want them to change. They change when they get ready, and we just have to be there loving to accept that and be there for them.
Recovery Living Center is really providing a great resource for civilian men to be able to get educational opportunities, job opportunities, and eventually housing of their own.
Yeah, I've been here since late May. I told him the other day, I said, man, I might not leave. I'm safe here.
Wow. What an incredible story that Johnny has lived. And folks, what I want you to know is how many men that came in through Code Purple that hadn't been a part of any recovery program this last winter, 1 in 3 of them stayed right with us, Ben. It's amazing that if people of God offer them community, how it changes their lives.
And not provided before now, which I think that the need obviously has been very real. And so we are now opening the doors. And like the gentleman just said, he says, and what a testimony this is. I'm here now. I think I may never leave. When someone feels good about who they are and the help they're receiving, they feel good about themselves and the environment. And this has been said so many times. People often will lift themselves up into the environment where they live, where they are, who are they surrounded by, who are they talking to. They say you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. I think Les Brown joked, said if you're the smartest one in your group, you might want to recruit someone else in there to keep going. And I say that with a smile on my face, but with my heart wide open for men coming into a place really with nowhere else to go. So I applaud, by the way, I applaud each and every one of them for saying yes to the program, and for 3 residents here transitioning into permanent housing. What does that say about the success already? 12 weeks, Thursday night, celebrate recovery. Recovery is what we are for. Recovery for their lives, for their battles with addiction, and it's working, Scott.
It is working, and it's our only city's Christian, clinically based, Christian principled recovery living program. You know, it's about time we as churches provide not only that sociological answer, but also that spiritual answer that combine into intentional community that does transform lives. It's so exciting. And as I was showing Ben just a minute ago, we were wondering how many people are in line, and there's 486 people online right now. Now, that doesn't count everybody maybe sitting helping to watch with them, but between that crowd and the 240 here, Ben, we're over 700 folks that are participating tonight. Thank you all so much.
Right, let's let those folks at home know that we're having fun here tonight. 700 people together. Thank you for being with us, and thank you for tuning in. Thank you for tuning in. And I can't believe I was so excited to get up here. I forgot, for those of us who are in the room, this is important. We're not on Zoom. Zoom has the nice filter that can make you look good and everything. But I think it's important because it's the first time we've been together in quite a while. You should just turn to the people at your table and just, this is a very polite, nice thing to do. Just turn to the people at your table and let them know, you know what? You look good in person. You look good in person, and it is nice to see you in person.
Come on.
You look good.
Come on.
You look good. And by the way, Scott voted down, I think, my idea of that when we came here tonight, the dress code should be just like Zoom. I wanted to wear my shorts and flip-flops. He said absolutely not.
No.
We will absolutely not be doing that.
It's time to dress up. Folks, I just got another $1,000 anonymous gift. Will you give them all a big hand for me, please? And look how close we're getting, Ben.
Okay. All right, if you're online right now, if you're even here in this room and you've made a donation, listen, it's $194,000. We absolutely have to get to $200,000. And so you may be saying, Ben, I don't know. I've already made a contribution. Well, if we have 700 people, if we could get $20,000 more if everyone gave 30, right? So consider right now a collective giving one last time to give together, to make a difference together, whether it's $25, $30, or $50. Let's do it. I want to see $200,000 on there. I know that would be exciting. If you're home, online, make the contribution right now. If you're here, consider making that donation. Or if someone ate too much meat and potatoes and they're not looking closely, you could just slide over there, grab their phone, and make a donation on their behalf. They will thank you for that tomorrow.
That's right.
They will thank you for that tomorrow. I'm kidding, of course, but come on, $200,000. Can we do it? Pete, thank you for making your contribution.
Yes.
Just giving together, and just $5,000 to go to hit 200, Scott. I know that we can do it.
I know we can do it tonight. Come on, honey. You can jump in there too, okay? I tell you, we want to just ask all of the volunteers and staff with the Recovery Living Center at Costello House, would you all please stand up and let us give you all a warm round of applause for what you're doing and the lives you are changing. Thank you. Thank you so very much. Folks, I also want to do one more thing. We're bringing it back to our core services because as we've talked about how we go out into the highways and byways and find veterans, the way we respond online, they need a place to go where that job training takes place, where we have literally the 6th largest transitional housing program in the country, But see, there's 3 of them in Los Angeles and a couple in D.C., which makes this the 3rd largest city, okay? I want all the veterans in here, if you've served, would you please stand up so that we can honor every veteran that's in here tonight? Please stand. And now, folks, you've been sitting a while, but I want you to stand with the veterans, because we stand with our veterans and our frontline providers. Everybody, please stand up and continue to give yourselves and them a great big hand. Thank you for what you're doing for our veterans in this community and across North Carolina. Freeman Moore says it as well as anybody has said it. You can stand a little longer if you want, but I want you, as you stand or sit, to hear Freeman's story.
I was in the streets going over 20 years, drugs and alcohol. I've been to prison 7 times. I felt hopeless, you know. I even tried to commit suicide a couple of times because I was just tired of doing nothing with my life. I was on a bridge and I was thinking about jumping, and the police came and they stopped and they picked me up and they took me to the VA hospital. And this peer support came by and he told me about he said, I recommend the VRQ because it's a one-stop shop. And I chose here. When I first got up here, I had a made-up mind that I wanted to be a better person. I wanted to be a productive member of society. They gave me the roadmap, but it was up to me to do the work. I just go to work, go to my room, and I did that for like 6 months. Started saving money. I moved out of the VRQ March of 2018. The goal I'm working on now is becoming a peer support specialist. You know, when I first got to the VRQ, yeah, I had goals. I had goals of getting a government job. I had a goal of buying my house within 5 years. I bought my house in 3 years. And I reached all my goals, and I wasn't expecting to get married. I ended up getting married, so I consider that a bonus. But the main goal I got now is becoming an employed peer support. And getting here at the VRQ, they gave me my life back. And for that, I'm thankful.
Ben, everybody talks about going from homelessness to home ownership, and you just saw what Freeman did. It's just amazing to see people go from the very bottom and just join and become a real part of community, family, and church, and a home of their own. It's amazing.
Well, and we've heard people say they didn't have the confidence when they were so low in their life. And so once they have the confidence and they have that faith, I heard someone once say, when you're moving through life with faithful confidence, that is the unbreakable, that is the unstoppable. One certainly thing to have confidence, but the added belief and the knowing what is possible, that is how we get the job done. And look at this. It is not easy, by the way, 38,000 hours helping veterans. Come on, let's give them a round of applause, 38,000. And 1,500, by the way, volunteers. How about 230 volunteer cook teams? Daily meals to 500 people. That is incredible. 500 residents right there. And as Scott mentioned, this is a success rate. 87% of residents discharged into permanent housing with incomes, livable wages. Let's hear it for them. Yes, getting the job done. Now, we know, how about all of the volunteers who are working with this ministry? Let's get them all to stand up. Let's give them a round of applause. I mean, we are winding it down here. Yes. Let's give them a big round of applause here. Come on, volunteers.
Please stand up.
Thank you. Thank you. It really is a group and team effort done together.
It is, and, you know, it's what community does best. I love this community because of your generous hearts and the way you've already poured out tonight. I tell you, online, I just got a note from my high school best friend, Mark and Kinga Phillips, all the way down there around the Tampa Bay area, and he gave $100 to say, I'm supporting you and I'm behind you. You can't see me, but I'm behind you, and that's what makes community work.
Let's hear it all the way from the Sunshine State,
yes.
right? $100. Thank
Your
you.
state.
Yeah, that's right. And, we are getting here toward the end, so I know you may be considering, well, Ben, I would like to give another donation, but I've got some silent auction activity going on. You may be either winning or, if you're not winning, we have to say it is losing. It is losing in the silent auction. And so you want to be on the winning side. So just remember this. There's a conversation that's going to happen tomorrow in a lot of households. And the conversation about why you bought it, why you won it, and why you have it is a lot easier than that conversation, well, I know I should have. We should have won that. So go ahead and bid, because these items will either be yours tomorrow or they're going to belong, of course, to some other wonderful person. Make sure the ones you want are with you tomorrow, Scott, because really 9:30 is the countdown. And if you're bidding from home, keep doing it because the items are tremendous. In fact, I saw the action camera. I saw those collectibles. So keep bidding.
That's right. And if you're still looking for a tremendous bargain, there's 107 items that have no bid yet, so don't give up, okay? It's still possible, whether you're online or here tonight, go look through some of those other treasures that might be there, because you can make those available to your family and kids at Christmas.
If this is your first silent auction, here's the inside scoop too. The first bid in the silent, okay, that's the lowest one. So that's the easiest one to make. So find an item and place a bid. The green and orange bow tie as well up there. They're all amazing. There are so many collectibles, and by the way, there are some of these very unique items that have been provided by collectors and world travelers that you simply are not going to find other places. So go through and take a look, find something wonderful, and place your bid, because we're getting down. 9:30 is the close time. We're still climbing toward that $200,000. So I want to see if we can get there soon. Can we take a look? $195, folks. Come on. We are less than $5,000 away. $20 at a time, $100 at a time. Let's get there to $200,000. Let's celebrate with you online, and let's celebrate in this room. Tonight is our special and our most important night of the year. Let's get the job done here with one more step toward 200. In fact, you should turn to the person next to you at the table and say, I think we can do it. I think we can get to 200,000. Just tell them, if you would, turn, I think we can do it. I think we can do it. I think we can do it. Yes or no, do you believe we can? Yes, of course we can. Of course we can. So going once for 200,000, Scott. You know we got to get there by 9:30's in. You know we're going to get there.
Yes, we are going to get there. And I tell you again, tonight is possible because of so many people that made it possible. I want to just pause again to, first of all, thank Advent Health. We had Gaia Herbs here tonight, as well as Crawley Lee and Company. And then, of course, the Rock Church. They're in your bulletin. Please, if you see them, pat them on the back. But let's give all of our sponsors another big hand, please. And then I tell you again, I mentioned her before, but Pam Barbie, who's standing over here, and Andalita, you're standing up. Andalita was her right arm and her right brain, and she would trot around with both feet and collect and make things happen, along with another great committee of folks. So I just want to highlight them right now. Lynn McKinney, Wendy Lee, Jay Lee, Chef Eric Cox, Elizabeth Bowman, who's our church here at the Rock representative and heading up all this great media staff, Dr. Jim Brewer, Reverend Nick Honorkamp, Reverend Caleb Bradshaw, Jordan Langston, Jeff Goss, Jake Dewey, Carson Fox, Ashley Starnes, and Philip Blanton. Would you all please stand up because you are here, and let us thank all of this incredible committee. Thank you all for what you made possible tonight. Now, you've just got about 20 minutes to go on those items online. But I do want us to check and see where we're at, because we need to get over that 200,000 mark, Ben. And we're just, I tell you, I'm just not going to let you go. You folks online, come on, we're so close, Ben.
All right, so this is the exciting moment right here. If you're online, help us celebrate in this room. Listen, $198,000, $498. Who can believe? Let's do it right now in Raleigh. $200,000. It's going to feel good. You can say you were here. You can say that we did it. You can be a part of this community. And I like to have a lot of fun, but in the serious, when it gets right down to it, I know the difference that is made. Our family, when our son was diagnosed, we went everywhere, and insurance paid for nothing. And we sold at one point. The reason I'm an auctioneer is because I sold everything in our house. We sold everything that we had. We sold it all. We came back. I said, look at us living in a yoga studio. We had 3 beds. That was it. My family that was helping me donate the stuff, they said, you're going to sell all this? I said, I don't need this. I don't need this. What our family needs is help. And back then, I was a police officer, and I sent an email out onto the internet to all users. If you're a city employee, I recommend not doing the personal email to all users across the municipality. But guess what? The people rallied. So when people know they want to make a difference, they want to help. People, we are born to help. We are born to connect with one another and make a difference. People stepped up I'd never known. Even the angriest, most bitter, the angriest policeman I worked with had a smile on their face very briefly, but they were smiling, and they made a gift. I know what it means to be in need and to receive help. It absolutely changed our lives. It kept us going. There are people in this community that need us to step up. That needs us to step up and provide the service. It does matter. And so if you're considering a donation, I want you to make it right now. If you're online, make the donation. We can say that we are part of something special. Here we are at 198,000, just literally over 2,000, under 2,000 to go. We can do it. Look, now we're approaching 1,000. Then it's going to be just fun to watch it climb. You could say, I was a part of making a difference when much of the world stands by, when much of the world says someone else should be doing it. You can say, I am someone that took action. I made the difference. I improved the lives of others. And Scott, I've told you about the gentleman I met. He was in his 90s who said, you know what? If you help enough people throughout your lifetime, when you need help, and we all most certainly will need help, when you need help, you won't have to ask for it. Those people will be there for you. They will be there for you, and this is our time to be there for those in need. So literally, 10 people at 100, 11 people at $100, right? 22 people at 50. Just make the donation, mainly because it's exciting to see it to 200,000, yes. And you can be the one to make it happen. So we should do this, God, going once for 200,000.
Let's just be the one that pushed it over and tell everybody tomorrow you were the one that did it. Please do that online or do it right now. You can do it. I'll tell you, somebody who was always pushing from behind was Pam's husband, Mike. Mike Barbie was always the cheerleader, pushing from behind and making sure that as Pam has led this, here we are. Thank you. All right. Let me just share. Thank you all. I think every one of you pushed us over the top tonight, so thank you for doing that. I just got to share with you tonight's special tribute is in your program because Mike died suddenly just a couple of months ago, and yet Pam said, I'm committed and I'm doing this for him. Mike Barbie retired from AT&T in '95 and soon was an integral part of the ABCCM family as a dedicated volunteer. He worked as a chaplain at hospice for over 20 years. He served as a missionary pastor in India, Kenya, and Belize. Mike embraced being an ABCCM representative through his church, Glory Tabernacle. His first volunteer job was leading Bible studies in the jail ministry, working closely with Chaplain James Sutton and bringing the hope of the gospel to hundreds back in the early 90s and throughout the 90s. Mike's servant leader attitude was to help ABCCM grow by filling gaps. I mean, he volunteered countless hours to establish and maintain ABCCM's first website in the early 2000s. He served on ABCCM's board of directors as the jail ministry representative for 6 years. His wisdom and counsel were valuable to so many. Early on, Pam and Mike were involved in ABCCM's summer auctions. In 2005, they really wanted to restart the live auction after it had stopped with Chaplain James Sutton's passing around 2001. For many years, they'd worked together with Pam calling and Mike picking up items, taking pictures, putting them out for display, arranging the items at the auctions. But when Pam became chair of the auction in Gala, Mike worked side by side with her, and together they breathed new life into this event. We're so thankful that Pam has soldiered on even after Mike's sudden death on May 1st. Pam's gathered almost 500 items for tonight's silent auction. Their 43rd wedding anniversary was yesterday. All of us at ABCCM honor Mike and Pam's heart for ministry and service to the glory of God. They represent the best in all of us. Thank you, Mike and Pam. Folks, no fitting tribute could be any better than what you just provided. Thank you so much, because you have been community to them as they have been community to us. Thank you all online, the 300 churches, and there's about 15 minutes left. So as we bring this night to a close, we just want to say thank you again to the donors, the volunteers, the sponsors, the churches, and the Rock Church, and all of you for being here tonight, because you're both volunteering at your church, in the community, and bringing community. Ben, thank you for your being here tonight. You've helped us once again reach an incredible goal, and really to see these gifts double and multiply, just like God said he would do over and over, 10, 30, and 100-fold. Thank you. Give a big hand to Ben Farrell.
Thank you. And how about a round of applause for Scott Rogers? Come on, let's hear it. Thank you for all that you've done in leading through a very difficult time, obviously, and keeping everything at ABCCM on the right track. It is truly a group effort. It is a team effort, volunteers and staff, community working together. But we're going to have to give, Scott, going to have to give people a chance to focus, a chance for them to get their phones out. You may have heard of the phrase, nose to the grindstone. Well, now it is nose to the smartphone, okay, because we're down to the final minutes. I'm checking my bids over there, and while I was up here talking, someone was bidding on the items that I intended to win. And so we do have to look, by the way, more gifts coming in, $203,000. That is amazing, amazing, wow. Amazing. And we often like to just remind folks that in the short life we have on earth,
10
right?
minutes left.
10
Only
minutes?
10 minutes.
10.
Only 10 minutes left.
I need to focus here. I need to focus on the bidding then. The countdown is on my phone. You can have it on your phone. But, folks, thank you so much for all of your contributions and for what you've done this evening.
So that you can concentrate, we're going to close this out properly. I'm going to ask that our Vice Chair, Reverend and soon-to-be Dr. Alfred Blunt, Vice Chair of the Board of ABCCM, if he would come up and close us out this evening with a word of prayer, giving thanks to God for the many rich blessings. Reverend Dr. Alfred Blunt, and I'm just going to award him the doctorate now, is pastor at one of our leading black churches, Tridestone Missionary Baptist. Over by his table is another past president, Reverend Dr. John Grant, and also a familiar voice on 106.9 The Light, Reverend Dr. Lewis Grant. These men are ones who not only lead in the community, but lead with ABCCM and help demonstrate that we are stronger together through unity and community. Give a warm welcome to Reverend Dr. Alfred Blunt.
As we prepare to close with prayer, we want to again just say thank you for being here. Thank you for your gifts. Thank you for giving. Thank you for those who have bid. And please, the 3 items I've bid on, please don't nobody bid anymore. I need to stay where I am. But if you want to get in a tug of war, we can do that. So we'll see. But let us pray. Eternal God, our Father, we thank you for your grace and your mercy. We thank you for the blessings that you have bestowed upon us even this evening. Lord, we thank you for all those that will benefit from the gifts that have been given, for those that will walk away in a better way. Lord, we pray that you would continue to bless the efforts of ABCCM. Lord, continue to direct us and guide us that we might be found doing those things that you have called us to do. Lord, as we leave here tonight, we ask that you would go with us, that you would keep us in your care until we shall gather together again. We ask it all in your Son, Jesus' name. Amen.
By the way, I've left out Reverend Gary McDaniels. My apologies. Chairman of the IMA, the Interdenominational Ministerial Alliance, and also on the board. Folks, thank you. This concludes our evening tonight. Please feel free to mingle or stand or assume the proper position to keep bidding. Good night. God bless. Amen. There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, I've had 2 questions and I want to give a quick answer. One is the centerpieces. If you would like to take those home and make a little donation, I don't want to see any fights, but if you all can work it out, please feel free to take these wonderful centerpieces home and then consider a donation. Second is, where do you go to pick up your items? Tomorrow morning at 2020th Street, ABCCM Servant Leadership Center, you will pick up those items. And the announcement, I don't have it in front of me. And take a dessert as well, I'm told. Jim Brewer, will you help me with what time folks come to pick up? Is it 10 o'clock or 2? 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. You can come by 2020th Street from about 2 to 6 tomorrow. We'll see you there. Yeah. And as Ben just said, if you don't pick it up, we'll resell it next year, okay? All right. Thank you all. Oh.